Today I have a beginner-friendly Lightroom tutorial for you on how to remove distractions from your photos. So let's say you took an image and you were in a crowded place, maybe there's people in the background that you don't want, or you cropped it weird and you need to do something else to it to fix the background. Maybe there's a random toy or object lying around on the floor that you don't want. Maybe you forgot to wipe your kid's face before you took the photo or you didn't have time. Regardless, we're going to be looking at the Lightroom Remove Tool and the 3 options you have for removing distractions from your images, how to know when to use which one, what the best way to approach it is, and hopefully get you confidently editing distractions out of your photos by the end of this video. Now, the photo that we're going to be editing is actually a few years old. And that is because I feel really strongly about protecting my children's privacy online. You've probably noticed in past videos that if there's a pretty identifiable image of them, I will blur out their whole face, even though it's a struggle for me because this is a channel for moms and I talk about taking photos of your children. But to me, you don't have to share photos online for your photos and your life to be meaningful. It's important to me to protect that privacy for my children. These images are for us, right? They're not for the entire universe. However, on that, this image is pretty old. My son looks nothing like this anymore. So I feel pretty comfortable editing this, showing you how to use the blemish tool, zooming in on his face, things like that. And it's just so cute. So without further ado, let's jump into Lightroom. Okay, so here we are in Lightroom with the photo that we're gonna edit. If you look off to the right here, you'll see our different panels. This is the edit panel, crop panel. Now we're gonna be working in the remove panel. So in remove, we're gonna see 3 different options at the top. And then there's also this red eye removal. So first we have the actual remove tool. Then we're gonna have heal, then we're gonna have clone. So all 3 of these things will remove parts of your image, but they do it in different ways. And it's relatively intuitive. Remove has a bit more of an AI. You can add AI to it and give it more creative freedom to generate something to replace whatever you're removing from your image. So we're gonna go ahead and start there. So under remove, we can change the size of our brush. Then we can decide whether we wanna allow Lightroom to use generative AI. So we're gonna basically tell it where I'm selecting is what I want you to remove, use AI to fill that in instead of pulling from my image and like the pixels surrounding, okay? You can also ask it to look for objects that you're specifically removing. So maybe you're removing a toy, you can leave that on or off. Then down here, there's also specific, like telling it if it's people, if it's dust. These are kind of automatic tools. I don't have people in the background of mine, so I don't know what it would detect out of this. So we're just gonna remove that. So this is an example of if you use the auto people distraction removal, what this looks like. You can see here that it missed 2 of the shadows on 2 people. So I'll have to go in and do that manually. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what that looks like if you do choose to use one of those bottom 3 sort of automated options. Okay, back to our other image. So I'm gonna select my brush. My brush does not need to be this large for the area that I am going to remove. We're gonna not use AI for this because I think it's gonna do an okay job because I have a plain white background. So it should be pretty good at pulling from the plain white background. If this was actually like a photo where maybe there was trees in the background that I didn't want in, then I would be selecting to, yes, go ahead and remove this part of the image with AI to fill in because I don't think there's enough information maybe on either side of that object to pull from and make up the information. So that's where you would use the AI part. I don't think I need it for this. So we're gonna go ahead and select this area and we're going to let it do its thing. It did a pretty good job. You can see there's kind of a line there. So I'm gonna hit undo. We are gonna hit AI this time. I'm gonna try it again and see what it does. Like I was talking it up. It actually didn't do a great job with just plain white. We're gonna hit remove. It's removing the area using AI, and it did a much better job. The next thing we can do is the heal tool. Now, I like to think of the heal tool as like small blemishes, things where we do want to be pulling from, again, the area around us. And actually, we could undo and see if it does a better job with our background with the blemish tool. Let's see, because then we're going to tell it where to pull, what info we want it to pull from. So honestly, that looks pretty good as well. I'm just gonna hit enter. If we zoom in, now you can see the remove panel a little bit better now that we've zoomed in. When we're photographing children, a lot of times there's like boogies under the nose that we didn't quite get if you're taking a close-up of them. My son had a procedure to fix his tear duct. He always had this watery eye, so he's got that in photos going on. Sometimes we have these little, the white dots, I forget what they're called, but there's a specific name for them. Scratches on the face because as we know, babies have talons. So let's look at the blemish tool to remove those, because I like the blemish tool for things where we're just pulling from the information around. So skin tone, for example. So we're going to lower the size. The feathering is basically like how soft we want the line of our brush to be. So do we want it to be like a soft feathered edge, or do we want a hard circle happening? So we obviously want a soft edge. The thing about Lightroom is you're really going, when we click this again, you're really telling it exactly where you want it to pull from, and it's going to be that exact shape. So you just kind of pull from a similar spot. If we were doing this in Photoshop, the heal tool is a little bit more intuitive, and you kind of can just click the dots away and it knows where to pull from. And then if it doesn't, you can tell it specifically narrow down the areas. But in Lightroom, this is what we're looking at for removing these kind of tools. Usually it does a pretty good job of selecting the right spot in the first place. All right, so we'll try to do this tear duct and see how it does, but we're gonna try to pull from there. I don't love how that looks, so I'm gonna undo it. The other option is the clone tool. Now this is like back in the day, this is what we had to do when we wanted to take stuff out. You had to sit there and click and clone everything, but it's gonna take the exact pixels from one spot and move it to another. So if I tried to remove this teardrop, for example, it's gonna be pretty much an exact copy paste. It's a clone, copy paste, copy paste. So I would go back to, I'm actually going to do the remove tool for this because it's kind of crossing over the darker part under his eye and then also going out into the softer part of his skin. So it's kind of hard to clone that. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to leave generative on, and then we're going to go ahead and remove the area using AI. Okay, and that looks so much better. We can go zoom out to see. That is how our image looks now, which is so cute. And I'm not like a firm believer in having to remove all the blemishes and everything, but it is good to know the difference between when to use the remove tool, when to use the heal tool, which again is for like blemishes, and then when to use the cloning tool. Clone tool is great for like if you have some kind of fence or like a line that you don't want disrupted, you can like clone, copy and paste over something that's interrupting that line. I don't know if that makes sense. I should have had an example of that for you guys. But another great thing to do is like, oftentimes I have like outlets in the background of my images. You can blemish those out or remove those. So hopefully that helps you understand the differences. It's tricky because I feel like it looks really intense when you open the panel because there's all these checkboxes and the distraction removals and these different tools up top. But really what it comes down to is these three options: the remove, the heal, the clone. Okay, so stick to those three. Think about the different scenarios when you would use each one and you'll be good to go. And there's really not a like super right or wrong here. You just do your best to remove what you want to remove, you know? Another quick tip I wanted to share is if you're in the heal or clone tool and you begin your brush selection and then complete it, you're going to notice this new drop-down menu appear. And from there, you can actually cycle through all of the remove tool options and see what works best for what you've brushed. If you're on the initial remove tool, this menu does not pop up. But if you start your brush and end your brush under the heal or clone, then you'll see this option. And instead of then having to undo and redo your brush selections, you can just kind of cycle through and see, okay, what's my best option here for removing this distraction? Now, hopefully that was helpful for you. If you have any other questions about Lightroom, or while you were watching this, you thought of, oh, I wish you'd also talk about this tool or that tool, go ahead and drop them in the comments. I would love to do subsequent editing videos for you. I really hope that this was helpful and that you feel like you can jump into Lightroom, edit photos, get something you can print and put on your walls and feel good about it.